So Rise Mzansi and the Good Party have announced a partnership in the city of Cape Town's council. Rise Mzansi's Western Cape convener, Axolile Notyala, has been appointed by the Good Party to fill their vacant seat in the city council. According to both political parties, Notyala will take up a dual membership, allowing him to remain a Rise member who is active in its structures while representing the Good Party as part of the caucus in council. Let's now bring in both parties for this discussion. The Good Party Secretary General Brett Herron, as well as Rise Mzansi's Western Cape convener, Axolile Notyala. Thank you so much for making time for us, gentlemen, this morning. Brett, let's start off with you. How did this idea come about?
Good morning, Eldrin. Look, the parties had been engaging before the 2024 elections, really on the basis that we are both social democratic parties. We have a lot in common in terms of our values. Our policies are closely aligned, and the vision that we have for South Africa is closely aligned. And we were engaging over several months before the 2024 elections around whether we should be competing with each other or presenting one proposition or one offering to voters. But we were not able to conclude those discussions with any firm agreement by the time we got to the point where it was running out of time for us to prepare for 2024's elections. And so this offer to Axe and to Rise is really as part of, in the context of continuing those engagements around converging as much as, or as far as we can, the parties who identify as social democrats, the center-left of politics, so that in future voters do not have to choose between disparate parties that have the same values and same propositions.
Okay, so technically speaking, how does this work? Because one, Rise Mzansi didn't exist during the last local government elections. And then on the other part as well, as far as I understand that Axolile was not a councillor, what's your instruction then to the IEC, considering that he wasn't even on your PR list? How does it work?
So we have vacancies in our Cape Town caucus, and we have 9 councillors in the city of Cape Town. And your PR list, you can change it, or it expires 1 year after the election. So 1 year after November 2021, whenever we filled a vacancy anywhere in South Africa, we have conducted a new process of selecting candidates. So all of our lists were scrapped after that year. So the vacancy can be filled by anyone, and we have filled it with Axe through the normal process of amending your list.
Okay, so normal process of amending a list, meaning that that name would be submitted still to the IEC?
Yeah, we have actually submitted it already. We submitted the name on Monday. And the IEC does their processing, and they will inform the speaker and the city manager, and then Axe will be sworn in as a councillor representing Good in council.
Okay. Axolile, speak to us about this decision as well, and what it means for Rise Mzansi, because with the general elections that have just passed, there was a belief, at least in some quarters, that at least Rise Mzansi would be able to secure a seat in the provincial legislature in the Western Cape. You didn't perform that well, though. But what does this mean for Rise Mzansi to form part of the City Council of Cape Town?
Morning, Aldrin, and thank you. I think, as Brett has said, this is a continuation of a conversation, but it's also important. It's been important for us as Rise Mzansi, and I think it continues to be important for South Africans to reflect on these elections, to reflect on the performances of the different political parties, and to understand the position in which we are as a country, that we are a maturing democracy, and therefore there are new forms of politics that are coming up. For us as Rise Mzansi, as we have continued to say, that we need to drive a new type of politic within governing spaces. We need to have new leaders that can be able to show that it can be, and it remains, it needs to be positive to be seen as a politician, and drive the issues that most marginalized communities and people of South Africa always talk about during the election.
Yeah.
So it is an opportunity for us to show that type of leadership in these spaces.
Yeah. And how do you do it as Rise Mzansi? Because your proposition as well for the 2024 elections was that there is a problem with how traditional politics is being followed, and also the traditional political parties. So Rise Mzansi is saying that let's do things a bit different. Does Axolile, when he makes pronouncements, when he speaks in public, does he speak as a Rise Mzansi member, or does he speak as a Good Party councillor?
I mean, I hold a dual membership. I will be representing the Good Party within Council. I will be part of the Good Party's caucus. And there are people and activists within the Good Party caucus that I know that I've engaged with. And so we'll continue those conversations and that type of work. But also, as Brett has said, the work and the issues are similar. I don't have to necessarily be talking about the parties within Council. All that remains important is that we talk and make sure that the issues are elevated. And the issues that you would find in both our manifestos, particularly in the context of Cape Town, when it comes to land issues, housing issues, and spatial justice issues.
Yeah. Is this a precursor, Axolile, to a possible merger between the Good Party as well as Rise Mzansi?
I mean, that's the conversation that we are continuing, a conversation that started before the election, and we will be working on a memorandum of understanding in terms of how do we align. Again, we need to start to define, and it can be beyond these two parties. We need to start to define the center-left of South Africa and what it means when we talk about progressive politics, because that's also language that is misused these days. And so that's exactly the conversation that we are continuing. We are aligning towards 2026 and possibly towards 2029.
Okay. Brett, from the Good Party side, is this indeed a precursor to a merger between the Good Party as well as the Rise Mzansi? Axolile says, even looking at the possibility of other political parties.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I certainly agree with Axon. I mean, it's aligned with our discussions. I can't determine what the outcome of the engagements will be, but the parties will engage with each other with the objective of making sure that the voters understand, first of all, what progressive politics is, as Ax has said, and to find the players that are in that space already, and to seek convergence so that voters are not splitting their votes or being forced to choose between two parties that actually are offering voters the same policy solutions. So it may well lead to a merger, or it may lead to some other formation, and that will be part of the engagements that take place. But clearly, our objective and what we're signaling with this move is that parties that share the same values and are offering the voters the same solutions to the crises, especially for those who are marginalized, excluded, still suffering the effects of apartheid's legacy, that those voters who care about that are not asked to choose between two parties who are offering the same solution.
Yeah. How do you explain this move to your constituency, Brett, considering once again that Rise Mzansi wasn't there during the 2021 elections? You have a cohort of voters that gave you the 9 seats in the city council, and it almost brings in the conversation about what happened a couple of years ago, almost about 2 decades ago, around floor crossing. That it contributes to an imbalance, that this is what the electorate said, this is what we want, and then a political party comes after the elections and decides to bring in somebody from another political party to form part of its caucus.
I think that the voters who supported us in 2019, many of them supported Rise in 2024, or the voters even that supported us in 2021. When we analyze the results, we can see where the votes have split. So I don't think that the voters, and certainly our activists who understand the bigger picture, will be disappointed by this move. I think many people encouraged us to make this move before the 2024 elections. Certainly in the South African politics, space, there was a concern that there are too many parties, that there are several parties that share the same values and same proposals. So I mean, we were asked, why are you not together? So I think that this is a positive move for South African politics, for parties with the maturity to find each other and to look beyond personality politics and look at policy, values, and making a clear argument for addressing the inequalities that persist in our society. And that's going to be a much stronger voice when it's a combined voice.
Yeah. Have you spoken to your funders about this move at all, Brett?
We don't really need, we're not beholden to funders. We don't have the kinds of funders that influence our policy decisions or our strategies. So we didn't need to consult with any funders. And certainly, I mean, we're funded by small donors.
Okay. Axolile, when will you be sworn in as a councillor?
I'm still waiting to hear from the city of Cape Town. The first contact that I had was yesterday to try and arrange for that. So as soon as I know, the public will know.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Brett Herron, who is the Good Party's Secretary General, as well as Axolile Notyala, who is Rise Mzansi's Western Cape convener.